במסדרונות האום הם גנבו סוסים יחד, כאשר ג'ון בולטון ודני גילרמן שיתפו פעולה כדי להדוף את המתקפות על ישראל. ועתה בולטון לא רואה פתרון אחר לאיראן גרעינית, אלא כוח.
I see the Iranians as being in the catbird seat, and I think the only thing at the moment that truly stands between them and a decision to acquire nuclear weapons is the possibility of the use of force by Israel.
Mr. Bolton, how do you see the current and the future conduct of Israel vis-à-vis Iran?
Well, I think the choice for Israel, really, unfortunately, because of this NIE, is whether or not to use military force preemptively before Iran gets nuclear weapons, because once it has nuclear weapons, the calculus changes irrevocably. I think it was a very positive sign that Israel destroyed this apparent Syrian, North Korean nuclear project on the banks of the Euphrates River. My only problem is that the government of Israel and the government of the United States have thrown a cloak of secrecy over this very successful military raid. You can bet that in Tehran they took careful note of what the Israelis did against that Syrian North Korean facility.
Do you feel, Ambassador Bolton, that Israel should speak openly about the operation in Syria? We know all about this operation from foreign sources.
The policy of censorship in Israel is wrong. I think it's a mistake in the United States not to allow the nature of that facility to come out. I'm not talking about revealing intelligence sources and methods. Those should remain classified. And I'm not talking about the details operationally of how Israel destroyed the facility. I think those could remain confidential as well. But the Israeli people and the American people are entitled to know what that facility was, particularly if it was a nuclear facility, as I believe. And we're entitled to know if North Korea was involved with Syria, because North Korea is fundamentally a criminal state that will sell anything to anybody. And if it will sell nuclear technology to Syria, it would sell it to Al-Qaeda if Al-Qaeda had the money. And I don't think you can understand the strategic threat that North Korea poses, not just in Northeast Asia, but directly in the Middle East, unless the people of Israel and the people of the United States can openly debate what North Korea and Syria were doing at that facility.
בפומבי באולם הדיונים של כינוס הרצליה, כאשר דבריו משודרים, מלגלג בולטון על האיפול התקשורתי שהוטל על המבצע בצפון סוריה.
It's really very curious. The governments of Syria and North Korea know what the truth is. They know the whole truth. And the governments of Israel and the United States know at least part of it. The only people who don't know the truth are the populations of those four countries. So what you see today is, as Israeli citizens and American citizens, you have a little glimmer of what it's like to be a citizen of North Korea. A decision to censor debate in Israel and to try and keep things quiet in the United States, I think is a very ill-advised decision.
What should be the impact of the attack of Israel in Syria, according to foreign sources, on Iran, on the policy of Iran?
Well, I think that Iran took very careful note of the successful Israeli attack in Syria for no other reason than that the air defenses that Israel had to penetrate were Russian in origin and are almost certainly similar in capability to the air defense systems that Iran has. So this certainly got their attention in Tehran. It was also a daring raid, according to my understanding. The nature of the route flown by the Israelis was lengthy, but is consistent with the idea that Israel has or could develop the capability to strike facilities associated with Iran's nuclear program as well.
Do you feel that the American president or the next president is prepared to conduct to order a preemptive strike against Iran?
I don't see that President Bush is now in a position to use military force against Iran. I think before the NIE it was still possible, but it's one reason I've described this NIE as a quasi-coup by our intelligence services. It was written with the intended effect of preventing President Bush from using military force. It certainly achieved that effect, but it's gone beyond that. It has shredded his diplomatic policy as well. and has had an extremely negative impact on America's ability or Europe's ability or Israel's ability to try and achieve a diplomatic solution.
Do you think that Israel should contemplate a preemptive strike against Iran?
I think that's obviously up for the government of Israel, but if you see an Iran with nuclear weapons under the control of a theocratic regime such as the Islamic Revolution of 1979, and I don't single out Ahmadinejad here, I think it's the entire regime that is a theocratic threat, then you have to ask in the legitimate exercise of Israel's self-defense if it shouldn't take preemptive action. Once Iran has nuclear weapons, at a minimum, its retaliatory capacity changes, and its possibility for an offensive first strike against Israel is obviously considerably improved. So that's why, as unattractive as the use of force against Iran would be, and it's a deeply unattractive option, the possibility of Iran with nuclear weapons is far more unattractive.
As a former U.S. ambassador to the UN, how do you feel about sanctions of UN?
Well, the UN sanctions resolutions against Iran so far have not been effective. Both resolutions were weak. They've been in discussion about a third resolution for months and months and months. Even if there is a third resolution, it will be weak as well. Russia and China are providing cover for Iran in the Security Council. So if we're going to wait for Security Council sanctions to have an impact on Iran, we're going to wait a long time, too long in my view, because in that interim period, Iran, if it chose, could certainly develop a nuclear weapon.
A very delicate question, Mr. Bolton. In your opinion, who would be the next best president for the United States?
Well, it's not a delicate question. It's just a question I don't have an answer to, since I haven't decided to support any of the candidates yet. It will certainly be one of the Republicans, but I haven't decided myself.
One of the Republicans.
Right, for sure.
Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador Bolton.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.